Ciao amici, and welcome back to Experience Italy with Friends. Today we're diving into something exciting happening here in Italy, the 2026 Winter Olympics. And this is not your typical Olympics. Milano and Cortina are sharing hosting duties. The events will take place across the Alps and the Dolomites, and the Olympic torch is actually traveling through all 20 Italian regions. It's a huge moment for Italy, so let's jump in. Andiamo! Experience Italy with Friends is a travel and lifestyle podcast where we will explore our favorite destinations and hidden gems, share key travel tips and cultural insights, and provide real-time updates about our move to this remarkable country. Join me, Tanya Razzo, an Italian travel expert and founder of Amici Vacations, and my Italian husband and producer, Davide Razzo, on a journey that is sure to inspire you and prepare you to create immersive and authentic experiences of your own in the beautiful country of Italy. Ciao, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Tanya, and as always, I'm here with my husband and co-host,
Davide. Ciao a tutti, buongiorno from a foggy Montepulciano this morning. And yes, Tanya, Italy is getting ready to host the Winter Olympics in 2026 in Milano and Cortina d'Ampezzo.
Yes, and what's special is that this is not your typical single-city Olympics. These games will stretch across multiple areas. Milano, Cortina, the Dolomites, Valtellina, and even Verona.
Yeah, looks like the whole northern Italy is hosting these games in a winter wonderland.
Yeah, it's going to be amazingly beautiful. But before we jump into today's topic, we always like to start with a little life update. Just a peek at what living in Italy is really like for us because this podcast isn't just about visiting Italy. It's also about sharing what it's like to live here. Those everyday moments that make this place feel so special for us.
Yeah, and Tanya, lately it has been really, really busy.
Yeah, but when is it not busy? So, yes, last episode you were still in the U.S., eating all the foods we miss, visiting friends and family, and maybe you worked a bit?
Yeah, somebody had to bring you peanut butter and all the online purchases you ordered.
Well, and I'm very appreciative of that. But then you flew home with our daughter, Elena, just in time for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that was the best part, having her here. It felt really like a holiday. So, I wish that our son could have joined us, but, we have to wait for Christmas for that, right?
Yeah, we just got one of them this holiday, but it helped fill my heart. And then I'll have to wait until Christmas to get the whole family together. So looking forward to that. But, Elena's visit was awesome. We took her to all our favorite Montepulciano spots. And then she and I did a mother-daughter day trip to Florence, where she studied last year. And, she was the guide this time. I thought that was great that she could show me, her favorite cafes and shortcuts and favorite shops. And, as the travel advisor, I'm usually the one planning everything for us. So it was fun to follow her lead for a change.
Yeah, great. I'm glad you guys had a wonderful time while I was working.
That working again.
Yeah. But then we had Thanksgiving, Italian style, right?
Yeah, we did. We went to a local restaurant with friends and it wasn't as good as what you would have probably done here at home, but it was delicious. It was easy. And, honestly, the best part was just celebrating together. And even though it's not a holiday in Italy, the sentiment totally carries over. And, we have a lot to be thankful for. So it was amazing to be able to celebrate and reflect.
Yeah, I reflected on maybe to make a Thanksgiving dinner next year because I haven't done it in few years now. So maybe last time it was like 2022 in Italy, remember, with my parents.
Yeah, wow. Okay, well then we're getting out of practice. And, good thing is I brought our Thanksgiving binder of all of our favorite recipes. So we'll pull that out and we're going to host.
All right. Okay, so then with our daughter, we did a day trip to Assisi. We hadn't been there in a while. What, 20 years?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I forgot how beautiful that town was. And, it was a mix of mountains and valley views. And I think, it has an incredible religious history. So
No, it does. Like you just sense it as soon as you arrive. And, the city is gorgeous, or I should say it's a town, and it's a town made of a lot of like just stone structures. It's all kind of a similar architecture, but it's very quiet, it's peaceful, very charming. And we had an amazing lunch. Like that one really made us say wow, which made up for kind of the so-so Thanksgiving dinner. And it was fun to wander around without a lot of crowds. And we ended up being, blessed with this, like being there at sunset. And it was beautiful, setting off to the west and the mountains. And we could see the basilica. And they had just put up the Christmas tree. And, if you haven't seen the photos, go check out my post on Amici Vacations because it was magical.
It was. Well, then on Saturday, I introduced Elena to our Vespa puppy. So I took her out in the Val d'Orcia. We went to Pienza. We bought some sandwiches, which we brought home. And then I just drove back home from Pienza through Montichiello, which was really nice. She loved it. She loved the whole thing. Yes. It was chilly, and but we had a great time. So,
you guys were brave. November Vespa rides are not for the faint of heart. Like when you guys said you were going to go, I'm like, do you realize how cold it is?
Yeah, it was kind of cold. Colder than I thought it would be, but we survived. Well, then we went to the Arezzo Christmas market, right? It's one of our favorites. We went last year for the first time, and this year didn't disappoint either.
No, and it was a great note to kind of end her visit on. And we went there Sunday evening, and we've mentioned it before, Arezzo does a really nice job with their Christmas market. There's lights all across the city. The Piazza Grande looks like a storybook village, and the market up at Il Prato is full of great food and gifts, and they even have a Ferris wheel. We've never gone on it, but it's fun to walk around, have some hot chocolate, warmed wine, and it's just very festive. It kind of kicked off the Christmas spirit.
Yeah, cool. Well, and then news on the apartment, there are really none, except that I just emailed our lawyer about making some last changes on our offer letter. And hopefully we will sign this offer letter officially very soon.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
But we did get to show it to Elena.
Yes, that's right. And she approved.
She did. She gave us a stamp of approval and is already talking about how her room needs to be decorated for her. And I had to remind her that it was the guest room, not specifically her room. But,
my room, she said.
More negotiations ahead. But, we had a really great couple of weeks, and I really hope everyone listening also who celebrated Thanksgiving had a wonderful time with family and friends.
Yeah, I hope everyone had a really good Thanksgiving.
Yes. But now, hey, let's shift gears to talk about something big happening here in Italy. And, something we're really excited about. And I'm very personally excited about it because it shines the spotlight on this beautiful country that we love so much. And it will be fun to participate in some way. And when I was thinking about episode topics and came across, all the recent ads out there about the Winter Olympics, I'm like, the Olympics are coming, like not too far away. And
you never know anything. What's going on?
But I'm just like, we have to talk about the Olympics. I mean, we're the host country and it feels special.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a fun one. So, we're going to talk about the host cities and the whole games. I mean, this is a huge moment for Italy,
It is. So, hey, let's start with the big picture first. As always, Italy has hosted the Winter Olympics twice before. The Cortina, in 1956, a little bit ago. Then most recently Torino in 2006. Yes. But the 2026 games are going to be completely different from anything we've seen before.
Yeah. And I mean, it's because it's not just one host city that usually, hosts the games. It's now two. And it's Milano and Cortina d'Ampezzo, as we already said that in so many times. I mean, these are two different places. When I heard that Milano was hosting, and I go like, where does one go ski in Milano? Yes, they can host the indoor games like the hockey and the skating and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. But I mean, usually Cortina or one city was always the host, and now we have two. So
I think it's great. I think, it's truly the first multi-city Winter Olympics, and not just one city with a few mountains nearby, but we've got two main hubs in two regions. Plus, there are going to be venues across the Alps and the Dolomites. And do you know that this makes it the largest geographic footprint a Winter Games has ever had?
No.
So,
really?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's cool.
I think that's cool. Yeah. I mean, it will show, all the sides of Northern Italy. You have Milano, which is, modern, fashionable. It's fast pacing. And then you have Cortina d'Ampezzo, which is this classic, elegant mountain town. And then between, you got ski valleys, little alpine villages, lakes. It's a little bit of everything.
It is. And what's important is that Italy isn't starting totally from scratch this time either. And a lot of the venues already exist, largely in the mountain areas. But Milano is getting a new ice hockey arena, right?
There's a little bit of drama with that. I don't know if you heard about it. I don't think you heard about it, Tanya. So I'm just going to say that. The new hockey arena that is being built in Milano might not be done by the time the game starts. So, and you know what? What's really bad is that there's no plan B for it.
What do you mean? Can't they just go play in other existing arenas?
Well, it's not that easy because it's all about the size. I mean, the size of the rinks, and the Olympic size is slightly bigger than the normal hockey rinks.
Okay.
And so go find one with the Olympic size. So there's the ones in Torino that they used in 2006, but it's too late to put like lipstick on a pig. So they wouldn't even be able to get those ready. So
okay, well, and then fingers crossed. And that's the drama for the 2026 games. And I think every Olympics has its drama. I mean, Paris with the Seine, and now we've got the hockey arena. But surprisingly, they seem to work out.
Yeah, there's always something that they work out. I mean, they probably have to put an army to finish that arena in there. But let's continue, and let's continue with something I'm more excited about.
Yes, I'm so excited for this event, and we have to talk a lot about it because it's one of my favorite parts of these Olympics, the torch relay. Italy is going to do something really special this year. They're taking the Olympic flame through all 20 regions of the country. Wow.
So yeah, I mean, I've heard about this, that that the flame starts always in Greece, and now this ceremony is in Greece, the first initial one, and then it jumps into Rome. And from then on, in no logical order, it goes all over Italy. It's like in every region, and it goes from north to south to west to east. It's all over, right, Tanya?
Yes, but it's going to cover all 20 regions, and it's not just a symbolic loop. This will actually be the longest torch relay in Winter Olympic history.
Oh.
It's touching everything: big cities, tiny villages, the seaside towns, the alpine passes, the UNESCO sites. Basically, a giant love letter to this beautiful country we now call home.
It's perfect because it's regional. I like about that because, in every place they go, it has its own food, its own traditions, even its own language, And so passing this torch through all of these little towns, it really showcases what an amazing country Italy is. So,
yes. And, and for people who want inspiration for future trips, this relay is going to be gold, because it's literally highlighting Italy's full diversity. We said it before: the mountains, the islands, the wine regions, the beaches, the hill towns. Everything. And I'm just so excited for the population to be a part of this too.
It reminds me of your old Instagram series that you did a couple years ago, the 20 regions of Italy. I think you should post this again. People can follow along as the torch moves.
Oh, I absolutely will be. As soon as I heard 20 regions, I'm like, hey, I can reuse that series I did. And, I'm also going to provide the link to the schedule of the torch movements in the show notes. So everybody click on it, follow along.
Hey, speaking of a schedule, I just checked the schedule and I saw that they're coming to Montepulciano on December 10th. It will move from Umbria here into Tuscany, and then it will stop in our town, Tanya.
No,
we'll be going.
We're going. Like, I can't wait. And, it's going to finish in Siena that evening, but it's going to pass through Montepulciano. And, I just love this. I love how the relay feels more like just a pre-games event. It's a celebration of the entire country, north to south, and a reminder of how much Italy has to offer beyond the big name destinations. So I'm just so excited.
I mean, imagine what the party is going to be up there in Piazza Grande. I know Italy knows how to party. And they always find a reason to party. So, I mean, to be honest, I think it's a really nice way to include the whole country to these Olympic Games. When they passing this torch from one town to another, I think that's a really nice thing to do. So, and, includes every town into this Olympic spirit, which is very important.
Yes, so definitely. And, if anyone can turn a torch relay into a party, it's Italy.
Yes,
so
it is.
Super fun.
All right. Well, we talked about the big picture, Tanya. So let's talk a little bit about the places that are hosting these events from a travel perspective, okay?
Okay, yes, let's. So, each area has its own personality. So if you're thinking of traveling during or around the Olympics, this will help you decide what kind of trip you want, from city vibes to mountain vibes and everything in between.
Okay, well, let's start with Milano. It's the big hub for all the indoor events, as I mentioned. We extensively talked about it on our episode 16 about Milano. But what are some of the key things we can share for the Olympics, Tanya?
Yeah, okay. Well, quick refresh for everyone is that Milan is Italy's fashion and business capital. It's big, it's modern, it's international. And, from a travel perspective, it's honestly, the easiest place to base yourself because it has a large train station. Fast trains can get in from pretty much anywhere. So it's very convenient. And, what's going to be special about it for the Olympics is that the opening ceremony is going to take place in Milan at the San Siro, as well as, the figure skating, the ice hockey events.
If they finish that arena.
If they finish the arena, as well as the short track speed skating. So, those indoor arena events all in Milano. So I think it's a great place to host it, actually.
Yeah, I mean, and, once you're there, you can go to the Duomo, walk through the Galleria.
Do a little shopping.
Yeah, and aperitivo. I mean, Milano is great for people who like energy, food, fashion, and nightlife.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a lot of fun for the entire month. Great place to be. Then we're going to jump over to Cortina d'Ampezzo. And I'm going to point out, we've been switching between saying Cortina and Cortina d'Ampezzo throughout this episode. And I'm just going to say it is officially Cortina d'Ampezzo, but it's just easier to say Cortina.
Yeah, let's just say Cortina for now.
And in all of the publications, it's Cortina. So I don't want to short it by leaving out the d'Ampezzo. So everybody should just know.
Exactly.
Cortina is its nickname. And this is the glamorous, iconic ski town in the heart of the Dolomites. And it's one you've probably seen in movies or photos without even realizing it because it's just picture perfect.
Yeah, I mean, Cortina is, like you said, it's really beautiful. I mean, every view looks like a postcard. They have big dramatic cliffs, fancy hotels, good skiing. It's very chic.
Yeah, I heard this is like the bougie place to go. It's similar to like the St. Moritz or, Aspen and Vail and Colorado. So it's where the seen and be seen people go.
Not for us, you mean?
We're not fancy enough.
Anyway, Cortina will host the following games or events. Some of the alpine skiing, bobsledding, then skeleton. I'm really looking forward to that. Do you know what skeleton is?
I'm looking at this now and I'm like, I don't know what a skeleton is.
The skeleton is one guy or girl laying on a piece of wood on skates, and it goes down the bobsled track in very high speed.
But isn't it like the luge?
Well, very similar, Tanya. It is there's a key difference. In skeleton, the athlete actually lays face down and head first, and just steers with its body. In luge, one lays on their back, and then it has its feet first. So and then it kind of also steers with its body, but more with the feet. So that's the big difference.
Good to know.
Anyway, so then they have also curling, and a historical fact. Cortina already hosted the Olympic Games in 1956, as you mentioned in the opening, but it was the first televised Olympic Games.
Really?
Yeah. So
a lot of firsts with this Olympics. And, overall, though, with Cortina, if you like charming mountain villages, the boutique shopping, the cozy lodge restaurants, this is your spot. It's high end, but still very warm and welcoming. So I think it's the perfect setting for the Olympics.
And, Tanya, it's amazing that a lot of people also go in summer there because it's a hiking paradise. You don't have to enjoy skiing, to experience it. So although I did some skiing there back in the 90s and I really loved it. So
yeah. Well, I think it's a beautiful area. I think it's a great place to be hosting the Olympics and all of those events. And, but it's getting some help. It's not all going to be the mountain sports in Cortina, because next up is Valtellina. And this is where more of the skiing and snowboarding events will take place. So, it's being shared with Cortina.
Yeah. And, I always talk about food, and Valtellina has some really good local dishes. Like they got some pizzoccheri, which is some buckwheat pasta with potatoes and melted cheese.
Comfort food.
Yeah, it's right now in winter. It's then they also have they call it the chat, which are cheese curds. Or cheese fritters.
You have to say that carefully.
La chat. Very dangerous. And then, of course, they have bresaola, which is a really thin sliced cured beef. So it's really good.
Yeah, no, I would definitely just go there for the food. But, from a traveler perspective, I think Valtellina is going to be, people who love more of that rustic alpine village, not the bougie Cortina.
Yeah, okay.
But a little bit more of that traditional, rustic, maybe even Switzerland vibe.
Grindelwald vibe, maybe.
Yeah, and I think they've got great slopes. It's very authentic, a little less touristy, and it's going to be a great choice for people who want to participate in the Olympics, but stay somewhere that's a little more cozy and not as glitzy as Cortina.
Okay. Well, let me continue on. And Val di Fiemme is another area they're hosting the games, and Val di Fiemme is known for the Nordic ski, for cross-country skiing. They've hosted world championships and other important games there before, so they know how to organize Nordic ski events there. And I have so many memories of Val di Fiemme because one of my good friends lived there, and so I would go visit there every now and then. It's really beautiful.
I was looking at pictures. It looks amazing, peaceful, lots of forests. I think it's good for families. And as you mentioned, it's famous for Nordic skiing, and that's where it's going to be hosting and playing a big role in the Olympics. And overall, it's very relaxed and nature-oriented, pretty villages, and great for people who just really want that quiet mountain time, and maybe get out there on the Nordic skis themselves.
Yeah. I think it's a great base for, people that don't want the crowds.
Yeah,
so
I agree. Hey, well, let's move on because we've got one more city to cover. The final host city is Verona, and they are going to be hosting the closing ceremony.
Yeah, in the Roman arena. So, only Italy would include a 2,000-year-old amphitheater into their games. They know how to do the Olympics. Come on.
I would love to go to the ceremony, and we actually toured that arena back in 2000. Wow, I'm always reminded how much time has gone by when I have to date ourselves to be when were we last here? So I think we're due for a revisit.
I know we wanted to go to a Zucchero concert, which he hosted 10 dates this past summer, but maybe we need to wait for next year. I don't know.
I think we need to sign up for that lottery, which I'll talk about, and try to get into the games because, Verona is such a romantic stop. It's got the famous Romeo and Juliet balcony.
Oh, Romeo.
You can go see the opera in the arena at different times during the year. It's got gorgeous piazzas. And of course, there's Prosecco and Valpolicella wine regions nearby.
Yes. One of my favorite wines comes from there. Amarone. Tanya, other than going to the closing ceremony in Verona, if you go there, you can go to some side trips, just like, to the Lake Garda, which is nearby.
Yep, exactly.
Beautiful area there too. So.
And of course, go do some wine tasting.
Of course.
And, I really think that each of these areas works for a totally different kind of traveler. So it's great that the Olympics provides these options. So if you're thinking about coming for the games or even later, it really comes down to the vibe you want. Are you looking for a modern city? Are you more into luxury mountains? Do you want that rustic alpine village, the romantic wine towns? Northern Italy has so much to offer.
And that's what Tanya helps people figuring out. Which base makes sense for you, right?
No, exactly. Would love to help out. And the Olympics will shine a light on all of these places, but they're great to visit anytime. You don't have to come here during the Olympics. The rest of the year, each one offers something special for every kind of traveler.
Well, that gives a really good overview on what to expect from the Winter Games in 2026. The host cities, the mountain clusters, the torch relay, and why this edition is such a big moment for Italy. So,
no, exactly, of course. And if you're even thinking about traveling to Northern Italy next year, whether for the Olympics or just for a regular trip, planning ahead will really matter.
Exactly. So let's wrap it up. Let's get some planning tips from Tanya. Give us your Olympic travel tips. Tips from Tanya.
Okay, well, to start off with tip number 1, key is that you decide very quickly, are you going for the Olympics or are you wanting to work around them? If you want to attend the games, start planning now if you haven't already begun. Tickets are already on sale through the official Milano Cortina ticketing portal, and I'll post the link in the resource section. Be sure to check availability regularly, as new tickets are released in weekly waves and popular events will sell out quickly. There's even a fan section I noticed that you can sign up for to get updates. Now, expect higher demand for the big events. Figure skating, alpine skiing finals, and the opening closing ceremonies will for sure go first. Prices are a little steep too. I was just checking out the opening ceremony and noticed that tickets started at €700. So be prepared to pay a premium for those sought-after events. Also, make sure to only use the official ticketing site. All tickets will be digital and managed directly through the Olympic Committee. No paper tickets, no third-party sellers. So I think that's great. And so just be careful of any third-party sellers popping up on the website. They're not legit. Now, if you don't want crowds, I would say my key advice is avoid Northern Italy from February 6th to the 22nd.
Yes.
It's all going to be about the Olympics. And, a good alternate, if you really want to come here in February, is to head south. Sicily, Puglia, Basilicata, the Amalfi Coast. It's very quiet, but it's mild and incredibly pleasant. So it's a different scene for February.
Way warmer too.
Exactly. So then, tip number 2, if you are coming for the Olympics, you need to figure out what your home base is that will work best for you. Milan is going to be the most flexible, as we mentioned earlier. It's got tons of hotels, great transport, and easy to participate in the events and city's nightlife. Now, alternatively, the mountain towns will fill up fast and early. So Cortina, Bormio, Livigno, Val di Fiemme, these places are small, so expect premium rates and limited availability. And, Verona and Bolzano are bigger city options, but they're going to be about 2 hours away from a lot of the mountain events.
Yeah.
But it's a good way to maybe compromise. And you can be in those locations, enjoy the bigger cities and their nightlife, and maybe do 1 or 2 trips up to an event without maybe basing yourself in the mountains. But overall, if you dream of skiing during the games or being close to the events, you'll want to book sooner rather than later, or have somebody like me help find some gems.
All right.
Now, third tip, if you want the winter beauty without the Olympic chaos, go in January or March. The snow is gorgeous. Crowds will be less, but it's still ski season. So it's prices will be better than the Olympics, but still a little bit more expensive to be there in its prime ski season.
Mm-hmm.
And my final tip is to be inspired by the torch relay event that's about to start here. Now, if you actually want to see the torch come by, you're going to have to jump on this pretty quick. But at a minimum, follow along, learn about the regions, and be inspired for your future destination of where you might want to come here in Italy and learn some of the more off the beaten path places. And I think that's going to be a great opportunity to get to know the country.
Yeah. I mean, whether you planning to experience the Olympic Games and the energy that comes with it or not, I mean, maybe it inspires you to a nice trip in 2026.
Yes. I love this episode. I have to say, talking through these Olympics has made me even more excited for 2026. And I'm jazzed that this torch relay is starting in 2 days from now.
Yeah.
And I am going to be watching it. And I can't wait for it to pass through Montepulciano. And we're going to find more ways to participate.
I think, for me, it's going to be really huge for Italy. That these Olympic Games are like a boost. It's going to give Italy such a boost, and it's going to put Italy back on the map, and I'm looking forward to the games themselves. I love alpine skiing and bobsledding and luge and skeleton. Then I do have some connections now too with some of my coworkers are going to come because they will report on the hockey games if they finish that arena, right? so I'm hoping to go to Milano too and visit with some of my colleagues that are coming here to Italy. So
no, it's going to be a blast. And if you're thinking about visiting Italy during the games or you want to plan around them, I'm always here to help you make sense of the options and plan an amazing trip. So we're at the end of this episode, and I want to say thank you for joining us. And be sure to follow along on our Instagram and Facebook pages at Amici Vacations, as well as our Facebook group page, Experience Italy with Friends, for all of my updates on the torch relay and getting excited about the regions of Italy.
Alla prossima! See you next time. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Arrivederci. We hope you've enjoyed Experience Italy with Friends. If you like the podcast, remember to follow us and leave a review letting us know what you found to be the most helpful. And if you want expert advice or assistance in creating your own immersive and authentic experience in Italy, visit us at www.amicivacations.com.